$8.3 trillion. This is what China's local governments owe to their creditors, $8.3 trillion.
Are we on the brink of a global economic crisis? The tensions between China and the rest of the globe over global debt are at an all-time high. As more countries fail on their debts, China's refusal to erase its loans raises tension with the United States and its allies. Chinese cities are failing to pay their bills because hidden debts are getting bigger and bigger. The stakes are high and the outcome is uncertain. So what's next? Watch to find out. When world leaders debated whether to write off poor countries' debts more than 2 decades ago, Bono was the central character. This time it's Beijing. Beijing. 3 years of tight economic controls in China combined with a real estate slump have depleted local government revenues, leaving authorities across the country saddled with mounds of debt. The situation has declined to the point where some cities are unable to provide basic services and the prospect of default is increasing. Analysts believe that China's outstanding government debts exceeded 123 trillion yuan, $18 trillion last year, with roughly 10 trillion owing by riskier local government financing platforms backed by cities or provinces. In the middle of a hard winter, it has been claimed that regional administrations have been slashing wages, curtailing transportation services and reducing fuel subsidies in order to ease the mounting financial pressure. Thousands of people in the northern province of Hebei struggled to heat their homes in November and December due to a natural gas shortage. According to several Chinese media sources, government subsidy cuts are partially to blame, according to the state-owned news website Jiamian. Households in the city of Hegang, which is located in the most northern province of Heilongjiang, were also left without heat in the month of January as a result of local businesses drastically restricting supply. The lack of heating during the thick of the winter has sparked significant outrage on social media. The response from local central government in Beijing was to issue orders to cities requiring them to provide appropriate heating, but they did not specify who would pay the bills. After spending vast amounts of money on imposing frequent COVID lockdowns, mass testing and building up quarantine facilities before the policy U-turn in December, which indicated the abrupt end of Xi Jinping's zero COVID program, local governments have spent their entire budgets. Craig Singleton, a senior scholar at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, was quoted saying Beijing is facing an economic minefield of its own. All in all, China's current debt crisis is a perfect storm. Cause: it's unclear how much the money the country has spent so far to combat the outbreak. Guangdong, on the other hand, reported that it has spent $22 billion on eliminating COVID during a 3-year period beginning in 2020. Meanwhile, revenue fell dramatically during the same time period. Rolling lockdown significantly reduced household income, causing many to cut back on expenditures, resulting in decreased tax revenue for local governments. The property market recession is complicating matters even more. Home prices have been decreasing for 16 months in a row. Land sales have fallen, accounting for more than 40% of local government revenue. According to the declarations made by the respective operators, a number of cities in China discontinued their bus services in 2017 due to financial restrictions. Among these places was Leyang in Hunan Province and Yangjiang in Guangdong. Separately, according to state media accounts, Hegang, a city in Heilongjiang Province, made history early in 2022 by being the first to be obliged to undergo a fiscal restructuring due to severe debt difficulties. Jobs in the public sector, which are considered the most secure in the country, were also affected elsewhere. According to a report published on a Chinese news website called Caixin, in the month of June, several prosperous eastern provinces, including Guangdong, Zhejiang and Jiangsu, reduced wages by as much as 30%. China's runaway domestic debt poses a serious threat to the country's overall economic health and will weigh heavily on the country's still nascent recovery, Singleton added. Singleton said that there is little doubt that China's present debt issue has the potential to intensify existing socio-economic tensions. He said that further public protests, such as those that occurred in late 2022, could develop as Chinese residents come to terms with vanishing jobs, closed businesses and reduced wages. Huge debts. Before the pandemic, China's local government debt had been growing sharply for a decade. This was mostly due to a state-led investment boom that followed the 2008 global financial crisis. But things have taken a sharp turn for the West over the course of the past 3 years. According to figures issued by the Ministry of Finance on Sunday, local government debt increased by 15% last year to 35 trillion yuan, $5.2 trillion, according to state media. Interest payments on local government bonds have surpassed 1 trillion yuan for the first time in history. Debt that is backed by local governments but doesn't show up on their balance sheets could be much bigger. According to a recent estimate made by analysts at Mars Marco, an economic research firm based in Hunan, the hidden debt issued by local governments financing vehicles, which are entities created by circumvent borrowing restrictions and used to channel funding for infrastructure spending, could have totaled 65 trillion yuan. This is more than 20% greater than Goldman Sachs' 2021 projection of 53 trillion yuan. This would amount to more than half of China's GDP. The debt ratio is still lower than America's, which is currently 122% based on its national debt in GDP in 2022, but China's has more than doubled from 47% in 2016. Economic danger. There are already hints that municipal governments are officially having difficulties servicing their debts. A problematic government-owned firm in the southern province of Guizhou that is responsible for building infrastructure projects announced at the beginning of January that its lenders had given it an extra 20 years to repay loans worth $2.3 billion. According to analysts, the case indicates that municipal governments would face significant financial challenges this year. Their debt crisis could endanger China's financial system, particularly tiny regional banks. In a research report that was published this week, China researchers Alan Feng and Logan Wright from Rhodium Group said once defaults begin suggesting that government guarantees have broken down among LGFVs, local government financing vehicles, defaults can snowball quickly. Even the highest ranking authorities in the country have acknowledged that one of the most significant risks to the nation is financial stability in 2023. It would be hidden by local government debt, which is not only enormous but also difficult to monitor. So what's next? It's been made clear by the central authorities in Beijing that they would not be coming to the rescue. In a statement sent earlier this month to local authorities, the Ministry of Finance issued a stern warning along the lines of, "If it's your baby, you should hold it yourself. The federal government is not going to come to your rescue." In the past, the federal government relied on the tried and true strategy of encouraging state and local government to increase their borrowing in order to finance growth, promoting infrastructure projects. Bloomberg said in January that Chinese officials were thinking about allowing a record number of special local government bonds to be issued this year. It's important to note that economic conditions are always subject to change, and no economy is immune to the possibility of downturns or slowdowns. This is especially true in today's interconnected global economy, where changes in one part of the world can have ripple effects across the entire system. If China were to experience economic challenges in 2023, it could be due to a range of factors. For example, global economic conditions may shift, causing a slowdown in demand for Chinese goods and services. Alternatively, there could be a domestic challenge, such as reduction in consumption or investment or unexpected geopolitical events. To address these challenges, the government could take a range of actions. One approach might be to increase government spending on infrastructure or social welfare programs to stimulate economic activity. This could help create jobs and boost demand for growth and services, which could in turn lead to increased economic growth. In addition to government action, businesses and individuals can also take steps to mitigate the impact of economic challenges. For example, businesses might focus on improving efficiency and reducing costs to remain competitive, while individuals might seek out additional education or training to increase their skills and employability. It's worth noting that China has already taken steps to address potential economic challenges. For example, in recent years, China has been shifting its focus from exports to domestic consumption, and the government has introduced a range of policies aimed at boosting consumer spending. Additionally, China has been investing heavily in tech and innovation, which could help the country remain competitive in a rapidly changing global economy. Overall, while it's impossible to predict the future of an economy with certainty, China has a range of options at its disposal to address potential economic challenges. By focusing on policies aimed at stimulating domestic consumption, promoting exports, and investing in innovation and tech, China could potentially overcome any economic challenges it may face in 2023 and beyond. So far it seems that Xi desperately needs a fast recovery of the economy and has chosen to shelve the debt problem for later. Thanks for watching our video about China's debt problem and how it affects the world. If you liked it, please comment and subscribe to our channel for more information. And if you have any thoughts or questions about the topic, leave them in the comment box below.